So today I want to talk about a couple X factors that I think are timely as we discuss what is to come with this 2021 Oklahoma Sooners football team. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time today. I'm going to start with a thank you to you for the loud, wild reception to the rebrand of the channel, the #1 ranked show. This is the home for it on YouTube. There is a link in the description below where you can download the podcast on Apple, on Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. The first episode debuts on Monday at 11 a.m. Central Time. And I got to get used to saying this because it's not part of my lexicon. But noon Eastern, 9 Pacific. And we will enjoy those things together. Matt Brown is on deck. It's one of the coolest interviews that I was able to do while I was here in, yes, Los Angeles. I've been here for the entire week, getting ready to give you this show. And the number of people that have helped us put this show together and put it together for you is awesome. And I can't thank those folks enough for their help and really getting us to this upper level where our mind, body, and soul must be one. And I can't wait for you guys to see that from the studios in Los Angeles, California. And by the way, there is another big announcement that is coming that I cannot wait to tell you about. But this is so much fun for me because, like, many of y'all know I'm a workout nerd. I love to work out. I'm on a step mill. I do lift. So I got to work out at Gold in Venice, which is like Valhalla for those of us that came up watching, pumping iron that can't be filmed, that is bodybuilding at its best, but also those of us that read Muscle and Fitness and Flex and, worship at the altar of Frank McGrath. Anyway, that was some of the best times I had this week, quite honestly, really. It's just working out and then getting to make these shows for you. But as I get on a plane to go home, get back into our studio where it all goes down, I wanted to talk a little bit about couple of Sooners that I think are timely given recent events. Many of you know by now that Oklahoma has acknowledged that they have suspended a couple of players for incidents for which we don't know the full details of, but it involves the Norman Police Department. And I hope for the best, but we'll see where that goes. But Mario Williams and Eric Gray are two of the guys that I wanted to discuss here. Mario Williams being a 4-star wide receiver and one of the best wide receivers in this 2021 class. And he's already getting buzz as the next Marvin Mims. And that's quite a leap forward from this time last year when nobody was talking about Marvin Mims and what he could contribute to the Oklahoma Sooners, because quite honestly, didn't expect him to factor in the way that he did in 2020. I think a lot of us were expecting that to be the year of the Rambo, Charleston Rambo, who was since transferred to Miami after Marvin Mims showed up and led the team in receptions, in yards, and in touchdowns as a true freshman, one of 2 true freshman All-Americans according to the FWAA. Big time for him. But, many folks probably said they saw that coming, those folks being his parents, but he did set the single season record for receiving yards ever in the history of high school football as a senior out of Lone Star Frisco. This is a dude that was going to go to Stanford and had the grades, at least starts by majoring in engineering, and is returning punts as a true freshman, which is no small feat at any FBS institution, let alone at Oklahoma. You're following behind CeeDee Lamb, who was a first-round draft pick to the Dallas Cowboys, who also set his own record, breaking Bob Hayes' rookie record for receptions in a season. It was at 46. Now it's at like 74 because that's how good CeeDee was. And then take into account in there that Dak Prescott wasn't even available for that entire year. You had passes that you had to catch from Ben DiNucci and Andy Dalton, and CeeDee was still able to do that. And then Marvin Mims shows up as a true freshman and takes over that. Even with Jaden Hazelwood being on the shelf for most of the season, Theo Wiese continuing to come into his own. We're expecting a lot out of Drake Stoops, even more so now, I think, going into this 21 season. But I think that Mario Williams is going to work his way into the rotation, and I think he's going to be a guy that draws your attention going forward. The other one Eric Gray, transfer from Tennessee, wearing the 0. And I really love that. I love that guys will wear that 0 in college football. And I am enjoying every bit of the 0 jersey I can get. But this is also a dude who went for over 700 yards rushing at Tennessee, was their leading rusher at Tennessee. Ty Chandler ends up transferring to North Carolina. I actually get to talk with Mac Brown a little bit about what he expects from him in this 21 season. But Eric Gray's also explosive. He's the kind of guy that can take it 80 yards to the house. He's going to be a nice compliment to Kennedy Brooks, and we'll see what Marcus Major can do. I know that I and others have been waiting on him to break out. I was talking with an assistant coach just the other day who was saying, yo, man, when the light comes on for Marcus Major, it's going to be different. So between those three dudes, you got some guys that can absolutely positively go. And I really am excited to see what Kennedy Brooks looks like in this year after having a year off. Don't know what we're going to get. Don't know how rusty he might seem, but being able to work his way back into shape in spring ball, get through summer conditioning, he ought to be ready to go with a year of rest, just like Jalen Redmond. And I really believe that this is the year for Oklahoma to go hunting bear. This is the national title window for them. I also look at it and I say, where are the weaknesses on this offense or this defense, quite honestly? Okay? Like, I've highlighted Mario Williams. I've highlighted Eric Gray. But where I think that this team is coming into its own is you have so many guys that understand what the offense does and what the defense was. And then you have guys that really are going to challenge for those starting positions and for playing time. And this is the thing that Oklahoma has been missing. And quite frankly, this is the thing that separates a college football playoff team from a national championship team. You got to have the depth on both sides of the ball. As an example here, right? You look at the University of Alabama. They were able to go from Damian Harris to Najee Harris and now to Brian Robinson. None of those guys wanted to go into the portal. None of those guys thought that they couldn't wait their turns. And all of those guys have come to believe that Alabama is not only a place where they can win championships, but it can get them to the NFL in the early rounds. When you lose players, it's when you can't win games, and it's when you cannot convince them that they're going to get into the early rounds as an NFL draft pick, because that's ultimately the reason why they're going to play college football. They are playing so that they can get to the NFL just as quickly as possible. And then add into there, you have Kamar Wheaton and on the shelf if you really want to go that way. You have Trey Sanders on the shelf if you really want to go that way. You look up and down that running back depth chart for Alabama, you don't see any squeakers in there. You see dudes that can carry the load for you. And you see that up and down their roster. That is what Oklahoma's building toward. That's what LSU had 2 years ago. That is what Alabama had last year. That is what Clemson had in 2018, and on and on. And I believe that Oklahoma has the kind of depth to really do something special going into this 2021 season with Spencer Rattler at quarterback, Caleb Williams backing him up. Even losing Tanner Mordecai and Grant Calcaterra to the portal, both of those guys at SMU, you're still okay. Like, that's the thing that I think that you should take from this Oklahoma team is they lost some dudes, both to the draft and to the portal, and they managed to stay and or get better, right? That's remarkable to me, especially when you look at TJ Pledger at Utah and you see Robert Barnes at Colorado and you see the caliber of player that has left, like Creed Humphrey, and you understand, no, they still have the boys to do this. They still have the men that can go chase for national championships and bring home yet another Big 12 championship. I'm so excited to see these dudes play football. Mario Williams, Eric Gray, show us what you got. All right, that is it for me. Doses.